this is definitely where my area of knowledge completely evaporates. Since as a Terran main, I've seen a lot of ZVP from pro level games, but I can definitely not comment much on any specifics. Top right, we've got Link as the white Protoss, and bottom left we've got Digard as the blue Zerg. Yeah, looking forward to this though. PvZ is a great matchup to watch also. It's usually pretty action-packed until, I would say, the late game, when sometimes it becomes a bit of a turtle fest depending on how mined out the map is, but otherwise really enjoy this matchup. Lots of action always happening.
Yeah, I don't know how this map affects the matchup at all, but we'll see. I think if you're right about the turtling in the late game, this could be a good map for that. So hopefully this game doesn't go too long, but you know, the
Yeah,
Protoss ability to camp is pretty strong.
yeah, we'll definitely see. I mean, I think I find like I would say most games don't end up in that stage. I think that really happens when you have two very evenly matched high-level players where neither can get a decisive advantage, and then it just becomes quite slow. But it's very map-specific here because Eclipse has all these bases with extremely narrow ramps, and these really narrow ramps really allow you incredible defender's advantage. Like, they'll allow you to hold bases with cannons and reavers, or alternatively with sunk spore and lurkers, like against a huge army, and just like it makes it completely cost inefficient to try and break any of those bases, if even at all possible.
And we see Linko here, he's opting for a fast gateway in his base, I think, so maybe we're going to see some one-base play from Protoss here?
Yeah, that is definitely interesting. Digard, to his credit, opened with a pool build instead of some kind of hatch first, which I think is probably, well, I'll have to ask someone in the chat or later to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's definitely the safer variant on a two-player map, just because you can deal with all sorts of Protoss shenanigans as the Zerg in the early game, and if they know where you're spawning, they can just pylon block your natural, which Linko's doing a bit. He's denying that drone from placing down the hatch. And at the same time, even if you went 12 hatch, they could cannon rush you, so that would just be a further optional annoyance.
Yeah, we see Digard now is getting ready to take that expansion. He didn't really have the resources for it before, and he may opt actually for Zerglings right away. We'll see what he decides. There is
nope. He gets his hatchery. I think he was debating on the fact whether or not he would have to deal with this probe, but the probe decided to abandon its denial of the hatch and flee. We're seeing two gates in the main of Linko. I would say that one base PvZ is not the current standard. Like, most players play, even if they're going to open with gateway, they'll put it in such a way that they can expand in their natural behind it with forge and cannon to cover, but that doesn't mean it's not viable. Oh, and Eternum is giving us some actual high-level knowledge here. So he said you can 12 hatch because the rush distance being big, but you do have to then send 2 drones just to make sure you're not getting cannon rushed, which I guess Digard in this case just opted to open pool first. And we're seeing zealots coming out from Linko. Digard getting a drone scout off, so he knows this is some kind of one base play. I'm very curious to see if Digard chooses to take his third base on location. That would be the normal way to open against a fast expanding Protoss, but if it's on one base, I don't know if that's still the optimal play. But he is deciding, no, he's pulling his drone from his third base, but he is moving it elsewhere, so maybe he's going to take some kind of sneaky base.
He's already dealing with his first Zealot over here with his Zerglings, and he's going to need to put a Sunken up right away, I would assume, to deal with all these Zealots that are now being rallied across the map.
Yeah, I mean, Linko's decided not to add more Zealots just now, so the Sunken probably in the end will turn out to be unnecessary. Digard is really low on drones at the moment, so these zealots are forcing more link production, and this is definitely hurting Digard's economy. He's sending some lings, I guess, in an attempt to run by. Linko has a cannon building, but it won't be. I don't think it'll be finished by the time the Zerglings get there, so
these
they're gonna
lings can
run
do
by
some
this.
damage here. We'll
Yeah.
see if he focuses the cannon, or it looks like instead he's opting just to run into the base.
Oh no! Now he's going for the cannon, which I think is a great move since it's so weak. But the two zealots are out now, and they could just block the ramp, but they're deciding to. No. Well, they're going back. Which I think is great. They're definitely distracting Linko a lot. But at the same time, this is also hurting Digard. Digard has had 6 larvae just sitting at both of his hatcheries, so this is like the amount of microing he's doing with his lings is definitely costing him economically.
Well, here's
He's
denying
throwing.
this expansion, and he's thrown down that third base up in the top left.
Yeah, I definitely think that hidden third base could, pay dividends out in the later game for sure. But the lack of larva usage is definitely going to be hurting him right now. He was supply blocked for a bit, so he's having to wait for that overlord to pop in order to be able to build more things. But I think the drone count has just been so low. I'm really hoping he can pull through though and go up some tech path to even it out again. The lings are doing great though. The speedlings killing probes here and there, just like irritating Linko all over the place. Linko made a cannon in his main, which I think was a good choice to not having to deal with all these lings irritating him the entire time. I've definitely seen like quite good Protoss players often if some lings get by their natural wall, they will just throw down a cannon in their main until they've cleaned them up, because having some Zerglings harass your probe line is probably incredibly irritating, and Zerglings do incredibly well against probes, so there's that too.
Yeah, so now we see Linko. He's going to that third base location to scout with a few of his early zealots, and he's not finding anything. So this has got to tip him off. There might be a hidden base. Maybe it's taken at another location, or maybe the Zerg is just powering on 2 bases. It's kind of hard to tell right now for this Zerg. I mean, for the Protoss player.
And Linko, I think, debating whether or not to attack, and he's opting to attack here. This may prove prove to not be he's going for it. I don't know if this was the right choice. The drones were pulled preemptively, which is really good. They're doing a lot of extra damage to these zealots, and the zealots are getting cleaned up with pretty much no damage. So this was a really great trade for Digard, because now he managed in that whole engagement not to lose any of his drones, which I think was key, and kill 7 or so zealots with just a few ling losses. So this is really great for Digard. And Linko, in the meantime, has taken his natural. He's not mining gas either at his main nor at his natural, which I think is definitely an economic issue. I mean, he is quite low on minerals due to not having continuously produced probes, but early gas is so important for a Protoss because their whole tech path depends on it, whether you're going for Corsairs, Speed Zeals, or Templars. It becomes quite a gas-intensive matchup for the Protoss.
Yeah, he's really walled this front though. He's set up some cannons. He's taken his expansion, so maybe that's why he was delaying mining gas from his main. But I'll look to see what he goes for next. He has a citadel. He's upgrading range, so we'll see where the Protoss player decides to take this. But on Digard's side, he has gotten his third base undefended, basically. For free.
Yeah, he's relying on the element of a surprise with this top left, which I think is definitely valuable. So he's gotten nice drone saturation at the top left, and he's adding another hatchery. So and Linko has no idea that this base is there, so he may still assume that the Zerg has 2 bases and is actually already on a 3 base economy. He's getting Dragoon range. He's getting leg speed, so his units will be all right. But
He's going for
Digard is making
Stargate and
Hyperlist.
robotics. And what was that?
Oh, Stargate and robotics. Okay, I mean, early robotics can be nice to deal with lurkers, obviously, or do any kind of shuttle harass. But at the moment, I feel like he's going to be suffering from the lack of units he has. He has 5 zealots and 2 dragoons, and he's deciding to push out. But Digard has a lot of hydralisks. I mean, he already has 10 hydralisks there, and he's got more producing. So this could be quite dangerous for Linko.
Yeah, this is an overwhelming amount of hydralisks, I think, at this time, but Linko with his upgrades, no, he doesn't have any upgrades, but he's still able to destroy those links so quickly. But now being forced back by these hydralisks, and it looks like there's only a few
Ooh,
Protoss
and a
units.
trap.
A very nice trap here
This trap.
by Digard.
Oh,
He
and there
delays the Protoss.
is he gonna? Oh, yeah. No, he still gets one of the zealots and damages the dragoon. So nice.
Here's the Corsair.
Nice round there.
Oh, and it gets immediately sniped by those Hydras. So that was
Yeah.
unaffected, disaffected.
And I mean, that's a lot of hydralisks already at his
Yeah.
base, and they're gonna be able to target down this forge. I suspect, though, the first one has just got lured into that cannon, so we'll see. Digard, meanwhile, is upgrading lurkers behind this, so if this turns into a longer game, he can definitely deny that. But he has so many hydralisks, and there's only 3 cannons here. This is the general Protoss nightmare. So many hydras, not enough cannons, I would say. And so many cannons going down, and I think this is going to be GG.
Yeah, there you go. GG is called by Linko, and so Digard takes the win.
Yeah. In the end, just the overwhelming amount of hydralisks meant that Linko had no way to stop them, and I think that was twofold. One, not obviously having enough cannons to deny the hydras, but also not having any further tech yet. So he was not anywhere near having storms or reavers or anything that could splash damage that army. Yeah. Okay, so 1 sec. I just realized with the next replay that I have the same, just didn't end up working. So we'll see how he opts to play this game, and just excited about.
Yeah, I can't remember. Did we see Digard play? We saw him play already, Captain Krung, and he went for a big mid game with Hydras and Lurkers on that high ground. So we'll
Yeah,
see.
he did, and I mean, Digard played quite well that game. He was like, he had a nice army, a really big army at one point even. But he decided to run into a really defended position of Captain Krunk, and that just didn't end up working. So we'll see how he opts to play this game, and yeah, and what Arcade Plus brings out in his TVZ handbook.
Yeah, I have no idea
And
how either of these players. Well, I don't know how Arcade Plus plays TVZ, so this will be interesting to watch.
I think, though, my memory is always a bit hazy, that he does prefer to play mech. But let's see.
Yeah.
I feel like, especially with the guides that came out from Flash on, especially the 5 factory Goliath timing, that a lot of newer Terran players are preferring to open mech.
Wow.
So mech has been kind of more the default, I would say. Arcade going for quite an early scout.
Before gas
So
even,
I'm wondering.
so yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious what he is checking for here, or if he's just concerned about some kind of early shenanigans,
Yeah.
and just wants to be safe against that.
He's gonna see the hatchery down though, and that's gonna make him know that this early scout kind of wasn't worth it. But
Yeah.
maybe he'll do a gas steal or something. I don't know why he sent this early scout over here.
I think he just probably was concerned with an early pool, and I mean, it's not the most terrible idea, but as maybe general advice for other turns, like you can still send your SCV scout, especially on a 2-player map where you're going to have a guaranteed scout, at your normal like 12 or 13 supply, and still be able to scout even a 4 or 5 pool in time,
Yeah.
to be able to defend your ramp. So not necessary to send the scout so early. But I mean, he's gotten all the information he wants. He sees that the Zerg is going to hatch gas, so pretty standard. Digard, meanwhile, is annoying Arcade's SCV, but Arcade getting a Marine out. And
So
oh,
close.
is he gonna get that? He
Nope.
doesn't get that drone. That's a bit unfortunate. Very lucky for Digard. Losing an early drone is pretty costly, so while it's nice to harass the SCV that wants to put down a command center, getting that drone back to alive and getting it mining is generally more valuable.
Definitely, it's better alive than dead. So here we see RK Plus doing the same thing, harassing with that fast SCV, trying to take out this drone at the net, and maybe he'll go for this newly arrived injured drone. It's quite
And
bruised.
I obviously was completely wrong because Arcade Plus is opening with 2 racks, so so we're gonna see some bio play out of Arcade, which is much to my delight. I'm generally myself a more bio TVZ player, but not that I don't appreciate mech, but definitely I find the dynamic quite interesting with Eminem versus whatever the Zerg decides to throw at it.
Yeah.
And Arcade getting a bunker, which is definitely a safe choice. He did scout, I think, more than 4 lings, which definitely you should pretty much always throw down a bunker if you see more than 4 lings, because it's just risky. As soon as speed finishes, if you just are defending with Marines and have no form of wall, then that would be, yeah, it's a big danger, and you don't want to lose your early Marine count if you're going for a build like this.
Yeah, exactly. I like this safe play from Arcade Plus to build this bunker, but now we see a Spire coming down for Digard, so he's going into Mutalisk. So we'll see if
Yeah.
Arcade Plus is able to react. He's getting an Academy, so he's going to be able to scan his opponent and see what tech they're going for.
Yeah, and yeah, Arcade meanwhile just adding more Marines. He's gonna have a nice Marine count. Got consistent SCV production. He's sending another scout, which is great. Just to see what's going on. Maybe he can, if he can get a scout off without having to use his comsats, that's incredibly advantageous. So I think he's gonna see, and the Lings don't deny the SCV, so
Yeah, he
that's
gets in, so he's going to see the
that's really lucky for Arcade. And he sees the Spire, he sees the exact timing, so he sees everything he kind of wants to know at this point. So he knows there's no lurker opening or something to be worried about. The Spire's at a normal timing. He doesn't have to use his scans immediately now to deal with anything. That means he has scans saved up in case he needs them for later. And he's adding medics now, so everything looking pretty good for Arcade Plus.
Yeah, he's
But
going to be on
Digard,
top for a push here.
yeah, and Digard meanwhile though getting his third base up, which I really like. He's got everything set up to make mutas now. He's making 6 mutas, so his economy set up perfectly to be able to get all the mutas on time. He's throwing down 2 creep colonies, and I think this is a good option because there's a big group of
Yeah,
Marine
these are
medic
some
coming, and
panic colonies if I ever saw them.
yeah, I mean his mutas will prop out just in time, but if he doesn't have any sunks there to support him, then it just becomes a really dangerous battle, because any micro mistake here will
He stims
cost
and
him
he
a
runs
lot.
in, but he's targeting the wrong sunken. Now these mutas and
Uh,
things are going to get right on top, and the Marine medic pulled back.
yeah, I think that was a good choice by Arcade to pull back.
Definitely.
I don't think he could have taken that engagement, but he forced out 3 sunkens for Digard, and Arcade Plus deciding to walk back to his base. He does have enough that he could really threaten the third from
Yeah, I'm not
Digard,
sure
but
he knows about it at this timing.
that's true. That's true. Digard, meanwhile, harassing the natural of Arcade, doing some work on the Marines and SCVs here. The turret's not quite out. One turret coming out, but it's going to get taken down. And Arcade stimming and repairing. Very nice micro by Arcade, just getting the SCVs to repair that turret before it burns down. And In the meantime, Digard, though, completely fine. He got off a good scout on what the Terran is doing. He's gonna build drones at his third to get that saturated, so that's nice. He's adding some more Mutalisks so that he can have a flock for defensive purposes. Arcade, meanwhile, adding more racks, so we're gonna see a lot of Marine Medic out of him.
Yeah, he's not really teching up to any factory just yet, so he's gonna be kind of ill-equipped to deal with more mutas, I believe, because you really need that science vessel out. But maybe he'll go for a big Marine Medic push that will hit before lurkers or something, and Digard won't be ready for.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you do need to, even if you're building a lot of Marine Medic, you do need to continue up on your factory tech, since it'll also get your upgrades going. And Digard going for the turrets at the barracks, though.
I like this play, actually. Seems like he's taking out the turrets relatively quick. Now, if he can hold this ramp, but he's being forced back, but still, he's going to delay the Marine Medic from moving out for some time until these turrets get constructed again by these barracks. And he's picking off medics now and SCVs, so he's doing a great job harassing this area. And the Marines are a little bit too spread out, and Digard's doing a great job jumping on loose units, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's definitely the way to go. I think Arcade has to play a bit more defensively now, and he needs to add at least 2 turrets kind of near his barracks just to, again, prevent mutas from camping on them. But at the moment, he's just keeping his Marine Medic there, but he's sending out SCVs, so I think he's going to add some turrets, and it'll all work out kind of in Arcade's favor.
Well, more and more mutas being added in here, and he's going to try to take this Marine Medic head on, it looks like. Yeah, 3 turrets going down by the barracks, so he's not messing around this time. He's going to build a good amount of turrets to defend his production.
Yeah, I think that's a great choice by Arcade. I mean, while the microing is nice by Digard, I think if the Zerg decides to stay on pure Muta, that if the Terran realizes this, I don't know if Arcade has been scanning much, but Marine Medic and Turret can really do a number on pure Muta. And Arcade's +1 attack just finished, so that's quite nice for him.
Yeah, that's a big
He picked off a few mutas. So we'll see. He's getting a factory in the back of all of this, and Digard built up his Hydra Den. I don't think he's gotten Lurker yet, so he's building a lot more mutas. So he's happy to stay on this,
like this, yeah.
Muta pile for now.
Well, he should go in and deny that factory if he can, because it is kind of in the top of Arcade Plus's base, so away from the production. But now we see another dive in with these mutalisks, and he's taking a lot of hits from those upgraded Marines, like you were mentioning. So now he's forced back.
Yeah, and I feel it was a bit unfortunate because right now is when Digard's own +1 carapace finished, and I feel like if he had waited about 5 seconds for his own carapace upgrade, that would have been a slightly nicer timing. Oh, and some medics about to get picked off. Some nice micro by Digard on picking off individual units that are stray and wandering around, and he's again harassing the barracks, which is great for him.
Yeah, this is really awesome play from the Zerg, but he's got to worry about this Marine Medic force that's accumulated throughout the game, which is now headed towards his base. At the same time, though, he's holding these barracks off, and he's going to be able to slowly take them out if Arcade Plus doesn't respond here.
Oh, and he's diving into the main now, so he's really putting the pressure on, but he's not microing his mutas, and they are getting murdered by these Marines, even though there's so few of the Marines.
Like, now he's moving into the undefended third base as well. Arcade Plus is taking it, definitely going to take out this base with the Hydra Den and a few drones. So while Digard is in the main of Arcade Plus is taking out the third base. But it looks like Digard just camps the main and wins, from my perspective. We'll see how this goes.
This is really hard to say. I mean, I think, yeah, Digard is throwing down a bunch of creep colonies to try and defend his own natural, to make sure that this base trade doesn't end up backfiring on him. I think Arcade Plus's only move here is to bring back his army and
try to macro from there. He is up on workers right now, surprisingly.
Yeah, I mean, he transferred his SCVs to his natural,
which is good. To his bunker, which is very smart.
Yeah, that really cost a lot of mutas, and Arcade is looking. I mean,
He looks like he wants to go for the map.
he's going to bust, and I mean, there are no more mutas out. You know, like
Yeah,
he has 5 medics and like
there's only 5
nearly
subs.
20 marines. Like he could
Oh, there's
definitely
some
break that.
lurkers. Lurker eggs getting destroyed. But these
Well,
mutas are taking out all the barracks at the same time. Arcade Plus needs to make a move here.
yeah, this is like I think okay, Arcade throwing down a bunch of scans, so he's making sure that that Digard has no further bases, so he knows that this is just 2 base Zerg against his 1 base Terran, I would say at this point.
1.5 bases, yeah.
But well, 2 things that worked out actually in Arcade's favor is one, Digard didn't prevent Arcade from teching, so Arcade's almost got his science facility done. And at the same time, he got +1 armor also on his marines, so threatening a sunken bust is now much more viable because it takes another extra hit on the marines for them to die.
Yeah, Digger now has to make some magic happen with these 8 mutas. He really doesn't have that many units behind this, and there's a lot of Marine Medic with those upgrades out on the field right now.
Yeah, that's a huge M&M army. I mean, I would, and interestingly, I mean, Digard is so low on drones. I don't know if he even realized it, but his main has got 6 drones on minerals and is naturally has 5 drones on minerals. Like he is hurting for money. He's throwing it all into hydras, which he can make for lurks, which is great in terms of being gas heavy and very mineral light. But at the same time, he needs drones if he's gonna be playing in this game in the longer term. Like Arcade has 37 SCVs, so even if he's lost a bunch of stuff here, now that he can retake his main, he's going to be in a decisive lead.
Yeah, and these Marines are so tanky with their +1 armor upgrade. He's able to take some lurker hits and still deal good damage to these Mutalisks. Digger trying his best to micro this, and without any higher tech for the Terran, this is a good army from Digger. It's just not very, not quite the size you want at this timing.
Yeah, I don't know why Digard is trying to move his lurkers in the way he is, because there's only 3 lurkers here, and there's a huge. I mean, maybe he's not aware of the size of the Marine Medic Force, but this isn't like something you can handle with 3 lurkers.
Yeah, especially with these upgrades, the Marines just run right over those lurkers, and now Digard is pulling back with his Hydralisk group, and they might just be caught out on the map here. He doesn't have upgrades for them. He's going to try to make them into a bunch of lurkers, it looks like. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. I mean, the positioning is a bit dubious, but I mean, I think lurkers is the only way to stop this giant Marine Medic Force for now, but he definitely needs to be taking the hive. He's made some lings now, which I think is not a great idea. I know he probably wants something because yeah, this. Oh yeah, I see that. There's a lone Marine going after that drone, and there's. I feel like I'm watching some kind of micro scenario where like there's one lurker killing this Marine, but the lurker wins, and he's gonna get his 3rd back down again, which is good. But he's still on 17 drones. Like he is so poor right now. Like Arcade is up twice on supply and has 50 SCVs. So this is looking very very hard for the Zerg to make a comeback from, which is interesting because Digard, like in the base trade scenario, was looking great, but he did not drone up behind that when he was stuck on 2 bases.
Yeah, I think in the base trade he managed to limit the SCV count of Arcade, but he didn't really destroy the army too much. And so with the army out, he was forced into making just more and more Zerg units, attacking units instead of drones. And that's kind of led to this position where he's so low on eco.
Yeah, and I think also a lot of his mutas ended up getting lured into that bunker, as you were commenting on earlier and stuff. So he lost a lot of his muta force, which is unfortunate because he could have really gotten more value out of them. Arcade is looking to take a 3rd base. I mean, he's already built a CC and he's slowly even turning up there in advance. So, and he has 7 barracks producing. I mean, he's done
a great job staying on top. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got. I mean, you can see it in the map. He's got like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 control groups of Marine Medic and Fire Bats here. Like,
Yeah.
that is an enormous army. I mean, lurkers definitely can do a lot to this, and they look like they're going to be primed for a really big engagement here in a minute.
There's one already going down, but there's a lot of lurkers. Once they burrow, this could be a lot of damage. Oh, the
There's a
Terrans
lot of
gets
blood.
right on the lurkers though.
Wow, I am amazed that that worked out in the Terran's favor, to be honest.
Yes.
I mean, he had 2-1 upgrades, which I think made a huge difference. Again, also for the viewers who are somewhat new to StarCraft, like lurkers, if the Marines have +1 armor, the lurkers will need 3 hits to kill the Marines rather than 2, and that I think was quite decisive in that engagement there. So I was Diggered as the, I don't even know what to call this, blackish Zerg, and in the bottom left as the olive.
Yeah.
we've got AZK. I actually don't know what the color names are in remastered, especially
yeah.
not the new colors. I'm just like, what are these colors?
Yeah, I'm the same way. But we'll
I mean,
see.
I find the black like slightly annoying when it's obsing, just because like it kind of melts into the terrain. Like you can't even see on the mini map what the difference is between the creep and the the things placed on it. But not a problem for if you're actually playing the game. You can always switch your opponent's colors to red if something is irritating you by using Shift plus Tab or Control plus Tab, one or the other. So not an issue there. And Diggard opting for getting an extra drone by using the gas trick. I don't know if that has any particular significance. AZK is going for a 9 pool, so that's going to be dangerous.
That's significant,
and
yeah.
that is significant. Diggard is going for a 10 hatch, which this I think comes out to a very tight timing. I think Diggard may have shot himself in the foot by doing this 10 drone variation rather than just getting the hatch on 9.
Yeah.
Because I think it slightly delays everything, and I mean AZK is going speed behind or early gas, so I think he's gonna. We'll see if he gets 9 pool speed or if he goes for 9 pool air. But these early lings are gonna put on a ton of pressure. I mean,
yeah. And we'll have to see.
We'll see.
It'll come down to like, well, if he scouts this, and he should scout it with his Overlord, and then does he build a sunken? Because I think a sunken is what you're gonna need to hold your expansion.
I mean, like 9 hatch is a somewhat unusual build in ZVZ, but I think it can hold 9 pool. And let's see, AZK is 100 gas now. Is he? But he's going for lair rather than speed, which I think definitely favors Diggard in this case. Diggard is gonna pop open his hatch now, and he's gonna have more lings than AZK, so it seems like 9 hatch is in time, so he'll have enough lings to deny any attack here by AZK, and then he's gonna have a hatch at his natural, which is just gonna give him
so much
both
eco, yeah, production,
larvae advantage, and if it ends up going to that point, we'll also just have a second gas available.
So now they're fighting at the ramp of Diggard. It looks like he's got enough, like you said, he's got 8 lings, so he's able to push back this 6-ling attack from AZK. And now like, AZK is in a little bit of trouble because he sees Diggard has an expansion and more links. So what do you do now? I guess he's teching up to lair. He might go for a fast brutalist play. And
I definitely think it's a good idea for AZK to be pulling back his Zerglings here, because he knows that Diggard has an extra hatch, so he can just outproduce him on Zerglings. And he's adding more Zerglings to his ramp. He's getting a Spire. I mean, that could be also the turning point. Diggard, meanwhile, is going pure Ling, so this is definitely a Ling all-in. He's gotten speed upgraded, but then he pulled the drones off of gas, so he's not planning on going for lair. And AZK taking a fight here, which definitely favored him on the concave, but he should not be pulling. Oh, this is going to cost him. He should not have pulled off the ramp, because he is he knows that he has a Spire and his opponent doesn't, so he knows he needs to just defend his ramp until he gets Mutas out. Now he has to deal with a bunch of Zerglings in his base. Definitely difficult.
Not fun for anyone. But he is doing a great
Yeah.
job denying these Zerglings and trapping a few even, so there's only 2 left now, which seems more manageable for AZK to deal with. He's still got his drones pulled, but he focuses down one of the Zerglings. He just needs to get back to mining so he can produce
the
some
mining.
Muta.
I think the mining is the risk here, and blocking his ramp with the rest of the Zerglings. This is gonna be the biggest risk. I mean, AZK, like he was in a good spot. If he keeps his ramp blocked, like he'll have an earlier Spire now. He needs to get some Mutalisks out. Some Zerglings attacking his ramp, and he has his Lings out of position and on hold position, so they are just getting picked off individually. And Digard is just flooding in more Lings, and those Mutas are not going to be out in time to deny this. I think AZK is going to lose. Well, maybe he can. Yeah, I mean, there's another there's another 8 Lings out, and this is just gonna be really tough for AZK to keep his drones alive. And I don't know if there's anything he can do. No, he decides to tap out. Unfortunate for AZK. I think AZK really had a nice position there, especially after he killed that initial Ling force with that nice little concave. If he had retreated up his ramp and prevented that run by, he could have sat it down. Game is great. Only 3